Okay, so this is once again, my PCOS journey story. This is part 3. I was able to finally get myself pulled together a little bit for you guys. So after my second loss of my baby, my second, like I said, I was able to really have a one-on-one talk with God. I was able to emotionally break down, something that I didn't allow myself to do the first time, and really just scream, yell at all the unfairness, and just really just let my emotions break down for a while. And I was able to finally pull myself back together. So not long after that, about a year or two following that, my cycle had once again was picking back up, was super heavy, but it had gotten like doubly worse, more than what it had been. It was terrible. And when I tell you, it was dealing with all of this during this period was so painful. Ladies, don't ever feel like you're alone going through something like this. You're not. It's extremely painful. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is nothing to be taken lightly by anybody. You never know what somebody's going through. So like I said, after I lost my second, I didn't go back into a depression or anything like that. I kept going to the doctors because, like I said, we still wanted to try to have kids at the time. But my health started to really decline following that. Like, it already was bad at that point. But they tried putting me on birth control. They tried putting me on all different kind of stuff. Nothing seemed to work. Nothing worked. And they would put me on different kind of medications, experimental stuff. Once again, nothing would work. Like, my body just seemed to want to fight everything that they did for me. So, it just got worse and worse over the 2 years following that. And it got to the point where it was so bad that I was literally like bleeding to the point to where I was having to wear, and this is very embarrassing for me, but I was having to wear stuff to work that's not normal for a lady of my age, just to be able to go to work and be able to keep my life normal. It wasn't normal. And also I was having to deal with stuff like my heart palpitations got worse. My blood pressure started staying high. My blood pressure stays high anyway, but it started getting to the point where it was scaring the doctors. Like, I would go in and they wouldn't let me leave until my blood pressure calmed down. It also got to the point to where my fatigue got so bad, like even trying to pull myself out of bed in the morning seemed impossible. And thankfully I had a best friend too. She's been there for me for a while, helping me through all that kind of stuff. And I got to the point where I felt so bad. I was getting, to the point where I knew I was going to have to make some decisions if things didn't start improving. And they didn't. They didn't start improving at all. It actually got worse. It got to the point where my blood iron count dropped down to 7.5, and my iron bottomed out pretty much in my body. I literally had no reserves left in my body whatsoever. If you know what your iron is supposed to be, it's supposed to stay above a 5. Mine was a 7.5, and heart failure is a 5. So it was really bad. Like, it got to the point where my heart was racing all the time. I could not walk hardly anywhere. I could not breathe. I could never catch my breath. My legs would cramp so bad to the point to where I could not walk long distances. I couldn't even hardly walk short distances. It was just terrible. I also had but anyway, it got to the point to where my doctors were getting scared for my life as well. And my husband and me, we knew that if I didn't make a decision soon, I could just feel it in my heart, guys. Like, I don't know how to tell you, but I felt like God was waiting on me to make a decision soon, because if I didn't, I already knew I was not going to live past another year. So thankfully, and I hate to be this emotional on stuff, but unfortunately it's just still emotionally hard on me even now, even though I've recovered and I'm doing so much better. Just thinking back to the pain that I went through, is something I would never wish on even my worst enemy on anything. But anyway, moving on from that. So I got to the point to where I was having to have iron infusions at the cancer clinics in locally where I live. I was having to go for treatments to try to get iron pushed back into my body, but unfortunately some of the iron infusions I was not able to take because my blood pressure would be fighting it at the same time. Like, I would have to get B12 shots just to get me motivated to move or do anything. So I was having to have B12 shots. I was trying to get iron infusion treatments at the cancer center. I was receiving it was just a lot of things. I was on metformin. I was on all kind of stuff, guys. When I tell you, I was so sick of taking pills, I cannot tell you. But thankfully, God kind of let me start feeling like if I didn't make a decision soon, that we knew that I was going to lose my life. So me and my husband talked seriously about it, and it was such a hard decision for us, guys. We finally talked about it. It took a long talking, but we agreed that the best thing for us to do would be for me to get a hysterectomy and to get fixed to the point to where I didn't have to worry about those things anymore. So we agreed to talk to my doctor about it. I told my doctor what I wanted to have done because he was not going to let me make that decision as young as I am. If I did not talk to him about it and make sure that my husband was okay with it, even though it was technically my decision, but it's okay. I know he wanted to make sure my husband was cool with it too. So I talked to him and we were like, yeah, I've got to do something. If I don't do something soon, I'm not going to live. I already can feel like myself dying. I know that I'm not going to make it if I don't do something. And my family was so worried about me, you guys. It was really bad. But anyway, so I ended up going in and we ended up scheduling the surgery for the hysterectomy. That same year, we both bawled over the fact that we knew we weren't going to be able to have our own kids biologically, but we decided that we are still going to try to adopt. So that's another journey that you can share with us. We're going to still go through that process as soon as we get our home and stuff set up. But anyway, I went in to have my hysterectomy done. I ended up taking a vacation from my job off for about a week. And that was last year when I did that. And my recovery was about a week. To take off physically where I couldn't do anything and be on bed rest was like a week. So I took a week off from my job. Thankfully, though, my job is very, it's an office job, so I'm able to sit down and not have to do a whole lot of running around, so I was able to do that. So I went back to work, and my body did heal up, and thankfully, I still struggle with pain, in my abdomen from cyst, but I don't have a uterus anymore. So thankfully, I've had that, the bleeding and the cycles have stopped. My body's healed up. Guys, it was the best decision of my life that I've ever made. And, every person has to make that own decision for themselves. But I'm so grateful and thankful that God, finally got me to make that decision to where he was giving me an intuition. I knew I was not going to make it if I didn't do something. So I'm so thankful that I'm all healed up now. I'm actually able to do things with my horses that I had to stop. And that was another thing, going through all of that. I had to stop riding. I had to stop doing a lot of things because physically I just did not have the strength to do it. So I physically finally now feel better enough that I've been able to start working with my horses again, taking care of my horses. If it wasn't for my husband, y'all, I wouldn't even have horses because physically I couldn't even hardly take care of them. He was doing so much for me, trying to help take care of my animals. I still took care of them too, but there was so much things he was having to pick up because I couldn't do them, like picking up bales and stuff like that. But I'm so thankful that God is so good, and I was able to finally get healed up, and that finally things are looking forward in my life. Yes, we are still going to adopt and try to adopt next year. That's kind of our journey next year we're wanting to do, and everything. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope this really helps somebody, and know that you are a blessing and that God loves you and you'll get through whatever you're dealing with. Y'all have a blessed day.